Before I get started, a bit of a preamble, just in case it's necessary. There may very well be some of you who are watching this going, dude, we already know why the sequels failed. And unfortunately, this is not going to be another video supporting that narrative. You've already got enough YouTubers pumping that out on a daily basis. Go watch them. What I want to try to establish is an unbiased explanation on what led to the sequel's success. Inevitably is what led to it being the ruination of what the sequels have ended up becoming. Now, one of the key aspects of the sequel's success was that Disney created the new Star Wars fan base. They actually established an entirely new group of Star Wars fans. You see, it used to be that there were three roughly general types of Star Wars fans. And I'm going to use Chewbacca as an example. The first type of Star Wars fan not only knows that Chewbacca has a family, knows that Chewbacca's home planet is Kashyyyk, knows that his wife's name is Malatobak, and his son's name is Lumpawaru. I don't make up these names. Anyway, that's the first type of Star Wars fan. That they know everything about Star Wars. They are so into Star Wars, they know every little thing. Then we have the second type of Star Wars fan. And again, these are all generalizations. It's to try and make it as simplified as possible. The second type of Star Wars fan knew that Chewbacca had a family. Right? That's the second type of Star Wars fan. The third type of Star Wars fan knows that Chewbacca's a Wookiee. Okay? That's it. That was roughly the three types of Star Wars fans that used to exist. Disney goes, we already got you guys. We already have types 1, 2, and 3 who are going to watch the movie. Not enough. They created 3 new Star Wars fans. Okay? And these are the Star Wars fans Disney created. Type A, and again, using Chewbacca as an example, they know Chewbacca not as a Wookiee. They only know Chewbacca as, oh yeah, that big hairy guy that tried to eat porgs. Then we have Type B Star Wars fans that Disney created. You have to actually tell Type B Star Wars fans that, oh yeah, Chewbacca is the big hairy guy that tried to eat porgs. And Type B Star Wars fans will go, oh yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about. As mind-bogglingly ridiculous as that is, they exist. And they exist in the goddamn millions. Then we have Type C Star Wars fans, which realized, hey, I can make money if I pretend to like Star Wars movies. I can make money if I pretend to like Marvel movies, comic book movies. You know who I'm talking about. Now here's the great thing about Type A and Type B Star Wars fans. Normally, they would have never watched a Star Wars movie. They would have normally not cared about a Star Wars movie. Disney was able to make 3 groups of people who had absolutely two groups of people who had absolutely no interest in Star Wars to actually be interested in Star Wars. That was the key to the sequel's success. Because Star Wars knew that types 1, 2, and 3, you guys were going to watch the movies anyway. You were going to watch the Star Wars movies anyway. They already had you. Okay? You guys already saw The Force Awakens. Even after it sucked and even after you knew what the problems were, you still ended up watching Rogue One. You still ended up watching The Last Jedi. Okay? Star Wars knew they already had types 1, 2, and 3. The only difference is that instead of types 1, 2, and 3 watching the Star Wars movies 8, 9 times. You only saw it 1 or 2 times. That's okay. Types A and B made up for it. Because types A and B became the core Star Wars fan base that Disney wanted. They made up for types 1 and 2 and for 1, 2 and 3. Because types A and B are in the millions. They're worldwide. That's why Force One made over $2 billion. You think it was because they tried to appeal to types 1, 2, and 3? Screw that. It's because they were able to get types A and B into the movie theater. Okay? And you're going, oh, but Rogue One and The Last Jedi only made half. Well, I'll get to that. Here's what ended up leading to what made The Force Awakens successful and the sequel successful, also ended up leading to its downfall. Because Disney was making a Star Wars movie a year. Okay? So they didn't have enough time between movies to hype up the next movie. So to keep now remember, type A and type B are the Star Wars fans that Disney was concentrating on. They weren't concentrating on types 1 and 2 and 3. You guys are going to watch the movies anyway, and you did. So to keep types A and B interested, before the theatrical run of the previous Star Wars movie was even over, they were already hyping and pushing the next Star Wars movie. They had to. They needed all that time to get people who weren't Star Wars fans to actually want to watch Star Wars movies. To say, you know what? Okay, The Force Awakens, it's in the movie theaters, 2 months later, okay, done. Stop caring about The Force Awakens. Start caring about and start talking about and start tweeting about and start, making videos about Rogue One. Because Disney needed as much time as they could to get types A and B to even be interested in the next Star Wars movie. So it's like, before the theatrical run of The Force One was even done, Disney's already promoting the next Star Wars movie and saying, forget about The Force Awakens, it's no longer important. Like, they treadmilled the Star Wars movies because they were coming out year after year. At least with the original trilogy, and at least with the prequels, there was a 3-year gap between movies. In this one, you got 1 year. And they already have to start hyping it up in the first place. So Disney was treadmilling the Star Wars movies on their main Star Wars fan base. So they're eventually going to get burned out, which ended up pretty much happening with Solo, a Star Wars movie. Okay? And it's like, you're going, oh, well, with Rogue One. The only reason Rogue One made $1 billion was because it was sandwiched between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I will bet you anything that if they had replaced Rogue One with Solo, a Star Wars story, like if it had been Force Awakens, Solo, a Star Wars story, and then The Last Jedi, Solo would have made $1 billion. It's the same reason Captain Marvel made $1 billion. It was because it was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame. If Captain Marvel had been released after Endgame or before Infinity War, do you honestly think Captain Marvel would have made $1 billion? Of course not. It was the same logic they used with Rogue One. And if Rogue One had been released after The Last Jedi, it wouldn't have made $1 billion because by then the Star Wars fatigue would have kicked in to the main Star Wars fans, which was Type A and Type B. Like, Types 1, 2, and 3. We'll watch Star Wars movies once a year. We have no goddamn problem watching Star Wars movies, obviously as long as they're good. We don't have a problem. Types A and B don't give a damn. You have to keep hyping them up and keep giving them a reason to constantly watch Star Wars movies. And Disney pretty much ran Types A and B Star Wars fans through the treadmill, and by the time Solo showed up, nobody cared about Solo. Now, having established that as the basis, let's discuss some of the other main arguments on why the sequels failed. If they had made better movies, it would have been more successful. You're right. Except, here's the thing. Disney's established that they had no intentions of making good Star Wars movies. But between The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, they literally changed and altered the whole cohesiveness of the storyline. The last Skywalker movie is pretty much established. They literally did not plan out this sequel, this trilogy. As bad as the prequels were, George Lucas at the very least planned out all 3 movies. Disney's established they didn't give a rat's ass if the Star Wars movies needed to be good. It was never gonna happen. All they knew was, as long as we pump out a Star Wars movie, people are gonna watch it. And guess what? You guys did. Now, obviously, it could have made more money, but I'm sorry. A crappy-ass, pathetic, stupid movie making $1 billion is still a success. Could it have been more successful? Yeah. But Disney didn't even bother thinking it was necessary or even care. Do you understand? Disney had no intention of ever making good Star Wars movies. So that possibility was never going to happen. Then we have the agenda aspect of the Star Wars movies, and that's why it failed. Here's the problem with that argument, okay, and it's twofold. One, from The Force Awakens, you guys knew, and all of you fans knew that what the agenda was. Yet you still watched Rogue One. Yet you still watched the Last Jedi. So, first of all, the fact that you knew that it was agenda pushing didn't stop you from watching the movie anyway. So shut the fuck up. Okay? Second aspect. Remember, Types 1, 2, and 3 are not the main focus on Disney. It's their Type A and Type B fan base. Type A and Type B fans didn't give a rat's ass about the agenda. They didn't even notice or even realize or even care. The fact that Disney was, pandering to the social justice warriors, it's like, why pander to the social justice warriors? They're not watching the movie. You're right. Types A and B are. And they don't give a damn about the agenda. They didn't care. It didn't mean anything to them. So that's why bitching and establishing that the agenda that was being driven is what caused the fall of the movies doesn't work. It doesn't work when you see the numbers. Okay? Because first of all, those of you complaining about the agenda still ended up watching the movie. You want further proof? For Solo, okay? You guys literally had to try to convince each other to boycott Solo. You should have known on your own you're not going to watch Solo. But because you are so inundated in watching Star Wars movies, despite the fact that you knew the movie sucked, despite the fact that you knew that it was agenda driven, you still had to convince each other to boycott a movie you should have known on your own to not want to go watch in the first place? So no, the fact that it was agenda driven had almost nothing to do with its loss, with its ruination, with how it lost, or why Solo lost. Okay? Because you guys have to actually convince each other to boycott a movie you should have known on your own to start boycotting after The Force Awakens. Then we have the whole complaint about how Disney was attacking Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 Star Wars fans as you're sexist and you're misogynist and why Rey is a Mary Sue. And I can pretty much establish how Rey is not a Mary Sue, but I'll probably do that in another video. Of course they were insulting you and calling you out because they could do that and you were still going to watch Star Wars movies. They literally called you sexist, misogynist, all the evils of everything, and you still watch the movies anyway. So, what were they going to lose? Oh, and by the way, they weren't insulting you and calling you out to appease social justice warriors, okay? They were doing it to mollify Type A and Type B Star Wars fans, okay? They were doing it to go, don't listen to the Type 1, Type 2, Type 3 fans who are actual Star Wars fans. Don't listen to them. They're wrong, and this is why they're wrong. It's because they're sexist and they're misogynist. Because remember, Disney's core fan base is Type A and Type B, and they had to keep convincing Type A and Type B to keep wanting to watch the movies. But if you have all these videos and all these people who are Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 fans complaining and calling out the movies, you are inadvertently telling Type A and Type B Star Wars fans that these movies aren't as good as Disney's telling them. So Disney's slandering you not to appease the social justice warriors. They're slandering you and making your opinions irrelevant to appease their core Star Wars fans, which is Type A and Type B. So now we have the rise of Skywalker. And this is how their success in creating Types A, B, and C Star Wars fans is now basically causing their downfall. Because despite the fact that since day one, Types 1, 2, and 3 Star Wars fans have been talking about how bad these movies are, Types A and Types B Star Wars fans weren't listening to us. They were listening to the Type C Star Wars fans, which Disney helped create, promote, and bump up and go, listen to Type C. Don't listen to Type 1, 2, and 3 Star Wars fans. Just listen to Type C Star Wars fans. Well, it's gotten to the point now with the rise of Skywalker that Type C Star Wars fans are going, this movie sucks. This franchise sucks. The last few Star Wars movies actually sucked. The monolith that Disney created in Type C Star Wars fans have now gone, no, these movies actually do suck. Well, guess who Type A and Type B Star Wars fans listen to? Type C Star Wars fans. That's who they've been told to listen to for the last, 7 years. Well, no, okay, 5+ years. Disney's been telling Type A and Type B, their core fan group, listen to Type C. Type C is now going, the Star Wars movies suck. Disney's screwed. This is what I was trying to establish in that what was the success that they were pushing ended up causing the problems, because the fact that the movies do suck eventually had to be called out by the Type C Star Wars fans that were pushing the Star Wars movies in the first place. Now, again, my opinion, my analysis, my perspective, No reason for you to accept it. You can easily challenge me and call me out and say I'm wrong, and that's fine. I'm just providing another perspective, another viewpoint. It's the only purpose of this video. Anyway, before I start getting into rambling territory, I'm out of here. See ya.